The Pacers season is halfway. Okay, a little over that. Over. What on earth could we grade this season? Kyle Taylor and I divide the team into categories to give grades for this. The biggest optimism thing that's happened, the biggest disappointing thing that's happened, what to watch for in the second half. We get to all of it today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin. And today, Kyle Taylor's going to stop by because the Pacers season is halfway over. Okay, it was halfway over on Thursday, but now it's time to talk about it. What happened in the first half of the season? We're going to grade three position groups: the proven guys, the guys the Pacers were hopeful about heading into the season, and the fringe guys. How good have those groups done? What has gone good or bad in those groups that has been encouraging and discouraging? A fun way to make it a little gamey today. Then we talk about the thing we've been the most encouraged by in the first half of the season and discouraged by before looking ahead to the second half of the season. Kyle also wanted to talk about IU football for like a minute at the end. It's a great time. I made him give a trade take, as we do with the trade deadline in 2.5 weeks. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's just get right to it. The Pacers are halfway, a little over that, done with their season. They have about the worst record in the NBA. Not the start that they hoped for, not the start that many expected, and yet kind of explainable with how hurt they've been, and a good time for assessment. One, because the halfway point is a nice time to reflect and look forward, and two, because they need to know all these things. And the person who I had to reflect last time, as we titled it, "What have we learned about the Pacers?" and everybody was all sad in the comments about it, is back today for perhaps a few more positive things. The quarter of the season that happened since then featured 4 and 5 wins at one point, and like the best stretch of 2.5 weeks that they've had, and yet they still have just 10 wins after 43 games. Kyle Taylor from Evil Pacers Recap Live, which I think I got right that time. Welcome back, sir. How are you?
Wonderful. It's good to be here, Tony.
I love saying that out loud. I'm glad that you don't have the hellish background like Derek when you join. He keeps it on when he hops on here. It's alarming.
The flames live in my mind eternally, but not in my actual background.
I appreciate that. So today we're getting gamey. We're grading three groups that I will explain in a second. We'll talk about our biggest encouragement and disappointment, the biggest thing we're keeping an eye on in the second half of the season. Kyle wants to talk about IU football for 60 seconds, and he's a question for me, so we're just going to get all over the place today. The three categories of players we are grading are the proven players, either because they've been in the league for a long time or they've done a certain amount of things for the Pacers. That group is Pascal Siakam, TJ McConnell, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, Tony Bradley, and Obi Toppin. The hopefuls for this season, that group contains Jarris Walker, Johnny Furphy, Ben Shepherd, Jay Huff, and Isaiah Jackson. And the fringe guys, Quentin Jackson, Ethan Thompson, Talon Peter, Micah Potter. And I put Cam Jones in there because he had never played an NBA game. I understand why people might have put him in hopefuls. You might be saying, Tony, where's Ben Mathurin? Well, listener, good question. He is more proven, I would say, if I had to put him in a category. In fact, I would fully have put him in proven in general. However, his season, because of the much increased role headed his way, featured a lot of hope, and I thought, I don't know what to put him in. So he gets his own category and his own grade. Okay, Kyle, let's start with the provens. Reminder, that is Siakam, McConnell, Nembhard, Nesmith, Bradley, and Toppin. Your grade for that group of players through half of the Pacers season?
B.
Very close to mine. I gave them a B-. Why did you give them a B?
I actually deleted the minus right as we started talking. It was on my screen not 30 seconds ago.
Very nice.
I waffled, obviously. Okay, on the one hand, Pascal Siakam has been awesome.
Yeah.
And just flat out an A. He has one of the best on-off differentials in the entire league. We all have watched him play on a nightly basis. He carries an immense load offensively and very often defensively. His consistency is sort of unmatched on the team. Obviously, he's had like a couple poor games here and there, but by and large, the consistency he had last year has carried over into this year, and he's doing it with insane defensive attention, double teams, triple teams. He's like, if you watched the Magic Grizzlies game and Anthony Black dunked on 4 people, he's like that, but at the elbow.
Did you see Rick Carlisle say that whatever the Pacers tracking stat for gravity they use is, that at one point in the season, Siakam was second or third in the NBA, like of every player? I thought that was probably true. He gets doubled every game.
Totally. I mean, I believe it watching the games. On the other hand, we have other players in this list, not just Siakam, so it can't just be an A. And I hate to keep coming back to this quote, but it's kind of the quote that defines the entire season. The standard has not been the standard. There are no two ways about it. If the standard were the standard, Rick Carlisle would not have criticized petty nonsense. Pascal Siakam would not have criticized complacency and lack of effort. Now that's, sort of 3 weeks ago at this point, but it reflected obviously a losing streak that became the longest in franchise history, and sort of no member of the team gets to escape from longest losing streak in franchise history. Right. No one gets to escape from, and you should tell me if I'm right or wrong about this, worst finals run to next season record ever.
They might be surging out of that, Kyle, with better play of late. We'll see.
Thank God.
I believe I have not updated that in a minute. Let me check. But yes, continue.
So on the one hand, we have a couple, and I think McConnell as well has shown some signs of aging, but by and large has been terrific.
Sorry. They are no longer right now, right? 10-33. That is no longer the worst win percentage after a finals appearance in NBA history. It's actually fourth worst. I will not say the other teams. I'm going to save that for a story. Continue.
Anyway, the point is, no one can escape the stain of that fall. And it has to wash over everyone. Nesmith, Nembhard, there are plenty of things I can praise them for. Aaron Nesmith's effort and intensity. He came back from injury and was immediately getting offensive rebounds and chasing down balls that no one else would get. He continues to try and drive to the rim with little success,
too much ferocity. But I like that he's trying it.
But I like that he's trying to. Andrew Nembhard is thankfully pump faking way less and having a much more smooth and in rhythm offensive game. Big positive. But even within games, Nembhard can go from makes every shot in one quarter, misses every shot the next quarter. And he's the antithesis of Pascal Siakam's metronomic performance, where Nembhard is just on a heater or ice cold completely. And now we're getting into why it's a B, because there is just not enough consistency from Nembhard, Nesmith. I mean, Tony Bradley is not even really on the rostered team right now for me to.
He will be tomorrow, Kyle. He's coming back.
Okay. All right. Fine. Why did you give him a B minus?
Okay. So I put Tony Bradley off to the side. Honestly, Tony Bradley met expectations. Good job. Metronomic in a much different way than Pascal Siakam.
It's a slow metronome, a plodding, slow metronome. And
but if the ball is within his orbit and it's coming off the rim, it is going into his hands. Obi Toppin, incomplete, does not matter for the sake of this exercise. He just had to be put into a group. So that is McConnell, Nembhard, and Nesmith. So I like what some of the stuff you just said. Nesmith clearly doing what everybody hoped the season would be about, exploring the edges of his game. Sometimes to a fault. His shot still looks, not of late, but most of the season, his shot has looked very good. Okay, great. That's what this season should be about for him. That's fine. I would say that he has had a fine to slightly above fine season. I think with Nembhard, I don't even know the right way to phrase this. Caitlin Cooper keeps writing about how he needs his Nembhard. He's asked to do so much. There are some games where he just looks amazing. He's recently reeled in the I can actually set up stuff for other guys to a good level. That makes me up what I would have had for him, because probably 3 weeks ago, no one would have had a warm and fuzzy about all the time point guard Andrew Nembhard. Now at least they can be hey, okay, this stretch was good. But you're right that the shot making is either all or nothing, it feels like. I continue, the most frustrating thing for me with him is the shot profile. Too many off the bounce middies, too many that come too early in the clock. I know he can make it. I honestly consider it a pet shot for him, but there's too many of them. So just kind of not, it just hasn't felt how many thought it could or hoped it could in the case of him. Not that he's been bad. He's asked to do everything in a lot of these games, but not quite up to the level of hope. And TJ McConnell is a small focus here in that basically his entire season rubric was if you're the Pacers, you're crossing your fingers that he shows no signs of aging. And he's mostly played fine, but I would certainly say there are stats that suggest he is showing signs of aging. And the one that I had up, but my laptop was overwhelmed by my number of tabs open for this, so I had to close them, was his free throw rate is career low. He is never getting to the line at all. He's only missed one free throw this season because he's only taken 12. And it's way, way, way down, like less than half of his last season free throw rate. And that's just like a burst you can get to spots before your defender kind of thing. And so he still can make the run full speed into the jumper shot. He can still has games where he is awesome and is guiding a bench. I don't think he's been bad. I think he's been what you'd expect, if not maybe a little better. He turns 35 this year, and any sign of aging like that is certainly noteworthy. So enough downs to say this isn't an A for sure, and enough like I'm gritting my teeth talking about it stuff that I put a minus after it. But overall, this group has been above what they hoped, I'd think, from the collective.
Yeah, I came with a TJ McConnell's aging stat too, which is that his drives per 75 possessions the last 3 seasons, 27, 23, 21. Just a steady march down. And this group overall, Siakam, Nembhard, Nesmith. So McConnell not getting all the way to the paint. Siakam, Nembhard, and Nesmith are all driving much more than they have been driving in the past, and all of them are shooting way worse at the rim than they've shot in the past. So to me, like with Nembhard, I am okay when those mid-range shots come in rhythm, when he's flowing into them. And
agreed.
Chris Paul is like the epitome of like undersized point guard flows into mid-range jump shot. And when it looks that smooth for Nembhard, which every now and then it does, I feel very good about those shots. The herky jerky pump fake, can't decide if I want to shoot or not. Bad, needs to go, cut out completely. And his long mid-range shots, I mean,
don't take him. Don't take him at all.
It might be time. The long ones, and I'm talking about the ones that are like, 20 footers, 18 footers, gone. The pet shot at 15 feet, we're gonna accept 5 more. No, not accepting.
Like, this sounds insulting. Like any other shot from any other 5 players on the floor instead of the long 2. Like, just unless the shot clock is at 3 or less, just don't do it. Just don't take it. I don't.
Yeah. Free throw line, great. Try to get below the free throw line.
There's a marker for this. I have nothing else to add for this group. Plus, we have time constraints, but I could talk for like an hour about every player.
Well, it's important, as you've called me the wet blanket of the Locked On Pacers podcast multiple times. I'm happy to start in a positive place and be merely damp as opposed to outright wet this time, because when we get to hopefuls and fringe guys, I have unfortunately, Tony, lower grades.
B- was in fact my highest grade as well. Is your lower grade fringe or hopefuls?
Fringe.
My lowest grade is hopefuls. So we will go to fringe next. Wow, that's interesting. This group, no, we should go to hopefuls. People want to hear more about that. We'll do the hopefuls next. Everybody, quick break. We got to talk about the great people over at FanDuel. Fridays always feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better every Friday night. Before the games step off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame and limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. From 6 to 7:30 Eastern, appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour on Fridays. Open the FanDuel app and you'll get something new, boosts, bonuses, surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off. The timing is perfect right before the games and your weekend gets going. It adds extra energy to your Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app. See what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. This is my lowest grade. This group consisting of Jarris Walker, Johnny Furphy, Ben Shepherd, Jay Huff, and Isaiah Jackson. I went first last time. Your grade for this group is?
C-.
That was, I have 2 written down because I couldn't decide. C- was the first grade I typed, and I typed D+ right above it. So in the same ballpark. Johnny Furphy will come up again later. I will spoil, and I think you can obviously guess where he will be coming up later. Awesome. You can fit in as a fifth starter. You have just enough shooting and off the dribble pop to fit next to high volume ball handlers. Defense, every game, there's 5 reps of like, sweet, that's great. Rebounding, real thing. One of their best, if not the best, non-center rebounders on the team. Great second season. Clearly has established who he can be, what they hope he can be. Deserves minutes right now, not just getting them because he's young. The rest of this group is a lot of highs and lows, to put it kindly. Jay Huff has awesome highs where he looks maybe like he could be starter level, and some lows where you're like, should he even be one of their 2 centers playing at all? Isaiah Jackson has probably avoided the lower end of that, but has not had the higher end of that at all. Yep. Jarris Walker had the lowest true shooting percentage in the league for like a month and has been really, really productive. the last couple weeks and is certainly reeling in some of his worst plays and looks better, which good timing for this. If we did this after 30 games, this would sound different. And Ben Shepherd is also doing the same thing where he couldn't make anything for a while and has started to look a little bit better playing his more natural role. So those two obviously get lower marks for their poor starts, even though they've both kind of ramped it up of late. But in general, Furphy has exceeded expectations. I don't know where other people were at Huff. I would probably say Met, maybe. Isaiah Jackson, I'd probably say either well exceeds or well below every game. Very rarely just like a okay level game, and the other two, Shepherd and Walker, below. But the extent to which Walker and Shepherd started below is why I went below average and went with C- or D+.
The things that I wrote down for this group, it's like, on the pavement on a hot day, it sort of shimmers. And sometimes you don't even know if you look far down the road, whether you're seeing something real or whether it's just the heat coming off the pavement. That's what we're talking about in the hopefuls. You're looking in the distance and it's really not clear if it's there or not there. I'm a little bit higher on Shepherd over the last 3 weeks or so than you are, in terms of I see his fit in the team and the fit is clear. But for all of these other guys, it's like, is it real or not?
Can I give him one more thing of credit? Sorry.
Yeah.
He is closing games a lot. And it's like clearly the right choice, right? That's very telling of how much better Ben Shepherd's been playing recently. Continue.
And I trust him to put the ball on the floor more than I trust Johnny Furphy too.
I agree.
Sorry, Johnny. Got to cut down the turnovers and the bad dribbling. We're coming off a career high night for Jay Huff, so I was feeling positive toward him in the moment. On the other hand, I think he's one of the worst defenders on the team in space. Probably the worst.
One of, yeah.
And look, the truth is that none of these guys has made any serious claim to crack the top 7 of the rotation next year.
Yeah, that's why they're in the hopefuls. Can they do that? That is good to have good players, right? If a player plays well, that's never bad. However, not only that for these guys, as you and I have talked about a lot before, the hope would not only be that they're better, but that they could eventually, whether that be next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, slide into that role when the player in front of them ages out, is moved, switches teams of free agency, whatever it may be. If any of them, Furphy can do that at some point, probably. Can any of the rest make that claim? And neither, if they decided tomorrow that they would rather have Isaiah Jackson be their backup than Jay Huff, I would not agree with that conclusion from the season so far, but I would understand it. I would be like, okay, I guess. Like, he provides different skills. He doesn't not fit with anybody. I think they would hope that one of them clearly sees that. Huff's highs have been extremely high, and he clearly fits with them very well. I think he has, to be clear, with my opinion, earned the backup job, and his contract is excellent. But it's not insane to me that the guy they invested in the summer would get. He just played pretty well against Detroit when no one else did. You seem to be disagreeing with that.
I'm just a little bit higher on Jay Huff than you are and a little bit lower on Isaiah Jackson.
I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. Jay Huff is just such a, I don't know, hot or cold seems too harsh. Like a guy who averages 8 points a game just scored 29, right? He's capable of that, and he has certainly added a lot to his game throughout the season. I made the claim that this entire group of people were like shimmers on a hot day. So you can call them hot and cold, and I think that might be more positive than how I characterize the group. I want to see more Huff with TJ McConnell. I want to know how that fit looks, and they should want to for future seasons. We haven't had a lot of that to analyze, and that would be very revealing for me. If Jarris Walker keeps this recent play up for, I don't know, 3 more weeks, so it's been a month and a half, I think they and I would feel better about him. That the shooting at the start of the season was the fake thing and not the first 2 seasons of his low volume shooting, but he has more to prove. Certainly. He
has a lot more to prove. He way too many times during I feel like every game I watch him, there is some play or many plays where he looks at TJ McConnell because he wants to bring the ball up himself, where he doesn't sprint to get into the alignment that they need to set up on the offensive side because he wants the ball, and then he holds it and everything is so slow sometimes. And I know that he, on the one hand, people say that he processes the game quickly, but it's like he processes the game either completely or not at all.
I agree with that.
And
I think he processes the game pretty well and pretty quickly, but he does stop the ball still along the way.
But he stops the ball so often that people have criticized Ben Mathurin as being a ball stopper. And if that's our threshold for ball stopping, then Jarris Walker is absolutely doing it too.
My theory I need to watch a lot more of Jarris Walker under this premise, is that when he's stopping the ball, it's because he's deciding if he wants to shoot or do something else. And when he knows right away he's not going to shoot, he makes a good, not always good, much more recently, he makes a quick decision that is more often than not good. The other thing that's happened while he's been making more shots of late is he has cut out a lot of the disaster plays. There are still some, but there have been fewer, I would say.
That's very true. It's a good point.
Which is a big deal for him, unfortunately. Wow, I'm surprised you have the fringe lower than C-.
Well, I'm gonna give it a D. It's a D minus.
D minus?
D minus. Quentin Jackson, Ethan Thompson, Talon Peter, Micah Potter, Cam Jones, and here is my technicality for the D minus. And Tony, I considered F. Okay.
Oh my gosh! What?
I outright considered F. Now you might disagree with this. Okay. These are we have listed Quentin Jackson, I would almost have put in hopefuls. That's probably a bit of a stretch, but here's the argument I'm going to make to you. Thompson, Peter, Potter, and Jones are the current fringe guys on the team, but how many other fringe guys have the Pacers churned through this entire season? Including, like, if we're evaluating fringe guys from the season, then we should also talk about Cody Martin and Mac McClung and Monte Morris and Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, et cetera, et cetera. This is my
Matthews, James Wiseman.
That's right. And this is the deal. Okay. There are two kinds of lineups that the Pacers have run this year. Lineups with any of those fringe guys in them, lineups with none. Okay. That equally divides the Pacers season in half. All the possessions they've played, half have included a fringe guy, half have not included any. And the lineups that have included at least one fringe guy have a net rating of -14, which is horrible.
That's very bad.
Horrible. Worse than the worst team in the league, a catastrophe. And that's excluding garbage time. I'm PBP stats lets you exclude garbage time. It's gone. They're -14 in the real minutes. Lineups featuring these players just played the Detroit Pistons, for example, and that -14 is part of what you're seeing in a 40-point historic loss. So you can call this a technicality, but when I am thinking about the fringe guys, I'm thinking about all the fringe guys, and the front office has not trusted them, has churned through them, and when any of them have been on the floor, the Pacers have been absolutely dreadful.
Okay, hang on. Hold on. First of all, what is the opposite group's net rating with none of them? Do you have that handy?
I absolutely have that handy.
Great.
When all five of the guys on the floor are guys who we would have expected to be in the rotation, the Pacers net rating is -5.
Oh, I was going to say -6. Okay. That -5 is just like regular bad and not
about a 30 win pace. Yeah, 30 win pace.
That makes sense. Okay, so let me step on one thing you just said's toes, which is that a lot of the reason they switched fringe guys was not the performance of the fringe player, but rather a very immediate need for a different position.
Yes, and
like almost
also none of them worked.
I thought Jeremiah Robinson-Earl worked, and I actually thought they should have kept him.
Fair, okay.
But the rest, yes, like Garrison Matthews was a shooter everywhere ever and could not make threes. For this team, Wiseman did not stick or do enough. Monte Morris did. Shrug, really. Ray J. Dennis couldn't get on the floor when they had no point guards on the team, like healthy. There are certainly fringe guys who had rough. I thought Robinson-Earl was decent. Micah Potter, who currently occupies that fringe churn spot, actually looks like he might be something, although the last couple games have certainly
he's been out of the rotation. We're on the fringe of the rotation again the last couple games.
The flash of the pan might be over. Tony Bradley has outplayed him the last couple games, but he has more.
Defend this group's -14 net rating and give them a better grade.
One more break, everybody. We got to talk about game time during basketball season. There's nothing like being in the building, the energy, the crowd, the first big run that gets everybody on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. That's where Game Time comes in. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score. Amazing tickets, fast, simple, and without the guesswork. Browsing the Game Time app is straightforward and intuitive. Finding tickets takes just a few taps. You can see the view from your seat before you buy. There's fees included up front, so you know the total from the start. There's zone deals, help unlock great seats at better value. The best way for an NBA game or live event to be right in one place. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Down the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off at Gametime. So my C, that's so interesting. So my C plus was mostly that I only evaluated the guys I typed down and not the.
Yeah, I said it was a technicality. I know that
mostly only. Well, this is good. This is worth actually talking about. I chose only the active players of the team because half of what we're doing is talking about what happened, and the other half is spinning it forward. What's that going to mean for the team? It's not nothing though that trying to fit in other guys did not work, and certainly revealing, by the way, that. We just went through this with Jay Huff of Rick Carlisle talking about it wasn't easy for him to figure out the system and everything. And Jay Huff talking about the challenges of that. The way the Pacers play, it's like if you're a hardship player, like it's really hard to come in one day do anything of actual significance or even any significance.
I gave this group a D-, and it is like we are fundamentally talking about a 10-win team that's the second worst team in the NBA. And there is just no way around. Like, unfortunately, a 10-win team does not get like Bs across the board. That's just not how it works. When you're a 10-win team, unfortunately.
Well, that's why I have B-, D+, C+ is my list of.
That's right. And I don't blame. I'm not pointing the finger. I'm not angry at any of these players. That's ridiculous. I absolutely agree that it's been hard for people to fit in, but that clunkiness has translated into losses. That clunkiness is translated into when these players who are having a hard time getting up to speed take the court, the Pacers just get smoked. And that's basically the source of my rating here.
Well, I love that this is the group that has our biggest disagreement. I said C+ for the listed players because, so for me personally, Micah Potter, I would say, has exceeded what I thought he would be. Not even that he's been like so awesome, but the fact that he started and I was like, yes, this makes sense. Like I thought he was going to be on the team for like 4 games on like a mini trial, and then they cut him before his contract guaranteed and give another center a chance. Like there's a chance he's their third center next year. I don't think that it's a high chance, but it's not zero. Like that's an exceed of my expectations. Quentin Jackson has been as expected and won them a game with like only he could do it of the available players, level clutch stuff.
The first win of the season, in fact.
Yes, indeed. Cam Jones hasn't played enough to have any real opinion. Sometimes I'm like, awesome, he can take space and make some shots. Sometimes I like his passing. Other times I'm like, you're doing nothing. Ethan Thompson shoots too much for my liking, but then I watched him in the G League score 1 billion points, and I was like, okay, I get it. And Taylor Peter hasn't done much of anything either, and that's not a good thing or a bad thing. And so in general, I was like, I feel warmer about this group now than I would have for all of their expectations before the season. Outside of Cam Jones getting hurt is not a demerit, but that is like the biggest air quotes knock of this group. They wouldn't want more of him.
Right. I mean, fundamentally, we're disagreeing about who counts as fringe.
Yes,
and
that's
my group of players is bigger than yours. And I sort of can't get around. Like when there are people on the floor who don't really know what's happening, it makes the offense worse for everybody else too. Like if you're a hopeful, if you're Ben Shepherd or Jarris Walker or Johnny Furphy, and you're playing with somebody who's just learned the Pacers system last night and doesn't know your name, it's going to be harder for you to shine. And unfortunately, I would argue that's what it's meant too often. I'm much higher on Quentin Jackson than I am on anyone else in this group by a lot.
I do think there will be a discussion point right after the trade deadline of like, if they have a roster spot, should this be held for Q? And I think that's reasonable. He's a third point guard level player who's done good things for the Pacers. This will be a group to keep an eye on. Maybe Q has. Have any of them moved up to hopeful for you? Because you said maybe Q should be. So that would be a big win, obviously, if that's also.
I would have put Q in hopeful because I think of the fringe guys as like not on the team last year and don't know if they're going to be on the team next year. I sort of have that mindset when I view this group, whereas Q was on the team last year and there's like some chance. I don't know.
Q is the only player of this group who currently is not under contract for next season.
I know.
Ironically.
I know. Even
though that's not reasonable or fair. Okay, yes. And to step on my own toes, because I said they signed those guys for a lot of injury reasons. But if they popped and were good, they would still be on the team. Like they did get cut because they didn't perform particularly well. All right, we have not talked about Ben Mathurin yet. And we are 25 minutes into this, 28, whenever there'll be a lot of 30. I don't know, a long time. I had the hardest time with this. I'm not going to lie. So compared to the optimist expectation of Ben Mathurin, this would probably be a below water grade. Compared to the pessimist's expectation for Ben Mathurin, I would hope this would be an above water grade. And I am probably in the middle of those two groups, and I have a C+. What do you have?
Yeah, C. This is hard to grade because
the injuries are so hard to factor into.
Yes. Because if you remove the injuries, I'm going to say two things that should be sort of like, how is a C seems high. If you ignore the injuries and you say, well, a couple games ago, Andrew Nembhard passed him in per possession scoring, the thing that Ben Mathurin is really good at doing, and that people thought he'd be, scoring 20 points a game. A couple games ago, Andrew Nembhard passed him in how often he's scoring when he plays. That changed back after Nembhard had a bad game, but they're like neck and neck. And in the sort of second quarter of the Pacers season, so games 21 to 41, the Pacers were 18 points better per 100 possessions with him off the floor, which is catastrophically, I mean, it's just so extreme. And someone is going to be saying right now, well, that's because of the injuries. It's the injuries. What are you talking about? And I think that that's sort of the whole issue here. If you're Ben Mathurin who wants a big contract, injuries suck. Injuries absolutely have like derailed the way the season started for him, which was so positive. And if you want to give like an injury adjusted grade, that's fine. I'm not opposed to someone saying, well, when you look at the beginning of the season, that's really when he was healthy and he was hooping. And yes. Also, if you're Ben Mathurin, what you care about a lot is your role and contract next season, and getting injured, whether you like it or not, changes that, because people are going to look at what's going on. And unfortunately, what's going on is not painting him in a positive light right now. And I hope that changes.
So, yeah, right. So the injury means that they can't get new information that would change their previous opinion of him, right? And that is massively critically important to them deciding what to pay him or what his future role should be on the team. And he can't elevate that. So him playing soon is hugely important for him and the team. Thumb and foot is also super challenging injuries to have.
It sucks. It totally sucks.
Shooting hand, thumb. So it's like, it's two things. Everybody was right when they were like, Tony, you should pay attention to this. I feel like he can't drive as well because of his foot. They were right. But then it's like, okay, well, his jumper could be the answer to that. No, it can't. Like, there's also, so it's almost impossible to take anything from the stats. And then also the 2 games where he was healthy to start the season, he was amazing. Like, oh my gosh, level amazing, right? So on one hand, that's all true. The optimist would say exactly what I just said and be like B+, A-, whatever. The pessimist would be like, well, if you can't score or get to the paint, pass better, defend better, right? Stuff that is possible even with your current limitations. And that has not gotten significantly better. And it is telling that other players also fighting through injury do not have an insane on-off difference. Now, it's hard for me to think about the on-off because, like, it's not Ben Mathurin's fault that finally Ben Shepherd and Jarris Walker made shots while he was hurt. Is it? But like, is it possible that their offense moved a little better when he was out in a way that did help them make better shots? But they were really healthy with a bunch of other guys in this recent stretch where those two have been playing well, and he is not a part of that. Like, that's not his fault. And early in the season when he got hurt, they stunk. They were completely horrible. And so that, their net rating was terrible without him. Like, he could have helped. So I don't know what to make of his on-off at all. I would just say that I feel like his high moments have been like so awesome that have made me feel like this is an above-ish, barely expectation level year. And the injuries bake in that I can't downgrade the bad as much because he was hurt. But I mean, true shooting percentage below league average on pretty high usage without like super obvious growth in key areas. It's hard to go any higher than CC+ to me.
The defense is where I really have a hang up, because I came into the season wanting to see him like game 1. I want to see you guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, when they play the Pistons, I want to see you guard Cade Cunningham. He is not getting those assignments. And I have not been impressed with his defense at all. I mean, it's better than it was, 2 years ago and 3 years ago. Of course, I don't think he's regressed, but if there was to take your Andrew Nembhard needs an Andrew Nembhard, anyone to sort of spell Nembhard on the defensive end would be a big plus for this team. Mathurin making, even independent of his fit on this team, him being able to be passable on the defensive end most of the time would be great for him and his career. And I don't think that he is. And so for me, this is where I'm just sort of like right in the middle, can't really decide one way or the other. And that's where I land.
And it will be impossible to say anything about any opinion of him if he plays 2 games that were considered healthy the whole season, right? Like, do we really believe that his thumb and foot are fully healed when he comes back next? Like, maybe, but
probably not.
Probably not, right? So it's going to be, until he says like, yes, I'm fully healed, like it's going to be impossible to take anything. But also it was 1.5 games. Like, who knows what he would have done if he had a real sample of time. So it's been that makes it so hard, especially for decision makers. But if you were an interested team, you would probably say, well, I don't care about what he did when he was hurt. And if you're a not interested team anyway, you don't care anyway. So I don't know that the outside perception of him would have changed that much anyway, outside of just time passing on his current contract. So that's also.
I don't think that if you were interested in him, you're higher on him than you were at the beginning of the season.
I do agree with that.
That's not possible.
No, but his value would probably have gone down because you have him on less time on this current contract, right? You have to pay him more money in the summer. So that is probably a small degradation, but not too much. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays upon return. Like, if he plays closer to how he did at the beginning of the season, then we'll know how much injuries were affecting him. And if he doesn't, then we'll also know, right? It'll be very revealing either way. I'm glad we were pretty close on all those. If I did the fringe exercise the way you did, I think we would have gotten nearly identical grades, I would say.
Perhaps. Let's talk about some positive things.
Okay. Biggest encouragement for you, Kyle Taylor, from the first 41/3 games.
So I want to ask you a question because I was debating where to put this.
Okay.
Morale is my question. What is your current opinion of the team's morale?
Largely pretty good. I think that the I don't even know what the right word is. Just like the shock of basketball euphoria last spring/summer to this is something. But I also think that run last year and the fact that they made the conference finals the year before, everybody knows they're good. Like, the team and the players are good. And so they also know why they haven't won this year. So what you see a lot of is right after the game, press conference. And Pascal said in one of those, if we win or lose, that dictates a lot of my emotions for the rest of that day. And I think that is true of many players, and he probably wears it more than anyone. So right after games, they are bummed down, especially when it happens 13 times in a row. But I would say, like, right before the game, yay by Burna Boy's plan, Pascal's running through his teammates, everybody's smiley, everybody's happy. They're generally a high morale group and still a close-knit bunch despite the record. And I think that's because they've proven themselves to everybody.
So that was I appreciate that answer. I was leaning towards putting morale in my encouraging answer because given how bad the season has gone, I have been mostly, but not entirely, encouraged by their togetherness and cohesion. I'm encouraged by seeing Tyrese on the bench all the time. Injured guys have always been there. They're largely into it. That stuff I think is really important because if they enter next season and the water is poisoned and everybody's just, it's just kind of had this wearing effect, that's really harmful.
Yes.
I won't quite call it the most encouraging thing, but the truth is, like, I would say I called them like apparitions and illusions and sort of the flash in the pan stuff, the hot summer day. When I see Jarris Walker like throw a lob and Johnny Furphy throw a lob in the New Orleans game, I smile. When I see Andrew Nembhard like flow into those offensive possessions and like dime up whoever it is, Pascal Siakam, Jay Huff, and I see the offense look like it used to, it makes me smile. When I see Aaron Nesmith come into the game and just try stuff, and he's always trying stuff, I'm encouraged. Quentin Jackson brings it every time he's on the floor. These micro moments, each in their small way, remind me here and there, and the morale is part of this too, that the team that I loved from a year ago is still there under the surface. And that is a huge encouragement for me. I don't think that they've sort of completely let go of the rope and things have like gone off the rails in such a way that they can't find it again.
I've learned a lot about how important team happiness and connectedness, not even on the court, how important that actually is for success from era to era of the Pacers, of my time covering them too. And this is a very, very, very good spirit group. And I know the record does not reflect it at all, but I think you are right to put that in the largest encouragement category. And you see more of like the energy givers. One problem that I wondered, problem's not even the right word. I just wondered about this early in the season. Like some of their energy giving personalities, like all of them were out at the same time. Haliburton, Toppin, Jackson, etc. And they're still around, but like when they're playing,
it's not, it's totally different.
Totally different. Toppin couldn't travel for a little bit, right? He wasn't on the bench on some trips. Right? So it's like, it's just different. And now Jackson's back. Those guys are at every game. Most guys are back. Like and they're playing better, right? It actually feels, I think they feel pretty good about each other, even though they are obviously bad in the standings. Now next year, if they lose a lot, oh yeah, there will be some. I mean, there has to be, right? Because then it's like, wait, was a solid fluke or a dream or whatever?
Okay. Your biggest encouragement?
My biggest encouragement is Johnny Furphy.
Say more.
I mean,
say more.
To have any young player. So specifically, I have in parentheses right after Siakam, because not that Siakam's my answer. It's those two playing together has been such a perfect mesh. They can play 4 or 5. And Furphy as a 5th option starter is like dreamy fit-wise right now. That's not going to be a thing next season. It's pretty clear what their 5 would be. But like he doesn't need touches that much. He defends his butt off all the time. They stink at rebounding as a team. He's very good at that. Like all these little things that they need a role player to do are like things that he is good at. And now his shot is getting better. He drives twice a game with varying levels of success, but at least he's doing it. And like it's the young player that I would say has had by far the most successes or prove-its of their young guys in a way that's very encouraging. And to the point that I'm like, should he be in the top 10 next year? Like, should he be one of the 10 guys they're trying to rely on next year? Maybe. Now their draft pick's obviously going to have something to say about that, but I have been extremely impressed by him. He does a lot of stuff that, especially at his size, no one else on the team does. And I think he has exceeded my expectations by the most. Maybe I had them too low, but he never played any real minutes last year.
I'm not quite as high on Johnny Furphy as you are. The handle is just like way too all over the place for me.
It was so bad in the Pistons game. It was so bad in that Pistons, like dreadful.
It's not, and it's not just that game. I really am like, it's worse than the Aaron Nesmith handle 3 years ago where I was like, oh no, where's the ball going? Johnny Furphy. I'm like, stop. When he starts to dribble,
this is the season to do it, Kyle.
It is the season to do it, but it still makes me scared. I agree that you can see the fit though. Like the vision for how he plays with the Pacers' best players is very clear, and that's very encouraging. Yes. I absolutely agree with sort of that fit thing. I mean, listen, I want to see more Furphy at the 5 in this second half of the season. Absolutely, I want to see it.
How much it affects what you're willing to spend on a third center. If Obi Toppin can be a 5 and Johnny Furphy can be a 5,
totally.
You barely need a third center. You just need a tall person. Totally. Biggest disappointment. Do you have a player or an intangible again?
Ben Mathurin, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, and Pascal Siakam have played 42 minutes together this year. That's brutal. Big disappointment.
Yeah, I considered just saying injuries. I think a lot of teams it drives me crazy when I hear other teams talking or people talking about like, oh, this team so disappointing because of injuries. I'm like, you don't know. The hardship Pacers are the team and the Grizzlies are like the only teams.
Yeah, I mean, I just said a few minutes ago, most of the possessions they've played this year have been with fringe guys on the floor, players who aren't even on the roster right now. I think the disappointment for me is not just that we're talking about 42 like quality minutes that the top 4 guys have played together. Frankly, it's that even in if you just look at the Pacers' performance since everybody, really since Mathurin came back in mid-November, the Pacers have been as healthy or unhealthy as any team in their situation might reasonably be. And so the related disappointment here is, frankly, that they haven't been better during that time. And not only have they not been better, that such a period included the franchise's longest losing streak. Like, there is no way to get around the disappointment that like Mathurin and Nembhard entered the year as co-favorites for most improved player in the NBA, and you can absolutely forget about that. Like, not even close. Not even close.
Yeah.
And there is no way to get around that kind of disappointment that frankly is, and I know that Mathurin was hampered during this period in part, though not for all of it. That group just has not been able to carry. I'll put it this way. It's hard for me to look at where the Celtics are in the standings and where the Pacers are in the standings and feel good about things. I know that it's not the same.
The healthiest team in the league, though, the Boston Celtics.
But you can't. I can't look at those two teams,
I get what you're saying,
and the Celtics, and look at like who we brought back and who they brought back, and be like, it just makes me feel bad.
So, I considered one injuries as my answer. Like, do you remember there was a real time in this season that is happening where they were starting Jeremiah Robinson Earl and Tony Bradley, and we were all like, "Yep."
I remember that time. Yeah,
those have been the most consistent performers at those two positions to that point in the season.
It was terrible.
Okay,
Terrible.
I mean, it's crazy what has happened this year. So my biggest disappointment actually fits in a little bit to what you said at the end, which was the most improved thing for Nembhard Mathurin. That was largely based on, with Haliburton out, an expectation that they would be given either more or different chances. And I actually pushed back a lot in the offseason with Mathurin with people because I thought he would get the ball more. Like, I thought he'd shoot more. I got what everybody was saying when they thought he might average 20 points a game. He played 30 minutes a night last season, right off the bench. It's not like him and Nembhard were going to have way more time on the floor. It was just going to be different in terms of their usage. What I wondered is, with Turner and Haliburton gone, there's a massive minutes and shots gap that has to be filled. Is it going to go to those two guys, or is there someone else who's going to be playing more who's going to take them? And my theory was, I think Jarace Walker is going to have a lot more opportunities to do interesting things. How much more is he going to shoot? How much better is he going to look? How's this all going to go? By far the biggest disappointment. I was not like bullish on Jarace, I would say, but I thought that he'd be useful, and he still might be. He would play. To be clear with Jarace, I talk a lot about Ben Shepherd, like 2 straight playoffs of proving that he can play in the playoffs for the Pacers. Jarace Walker was good in his playoff minutes last year before he got hurt. Like, a good player, right? He deserves that as a backstop for his struggles this season. But he has struggled a lot. And I think there was hope that with more touches and chances, he could show more than he has. And he's admitted it was an up and down year again. He is my biggest disappointment. Like, there would be a thought that he could have been a much more prominent player in the rotation next year. And I think that has gone away.
Yeah, I think I probably needed to sort of cast my emotional memory back to the preseason and remember how fondly we all viewed Jarace. But I'm sort of at a point with him where I'm just, it is what it is as far as I'm concerned. Mathurin, Nembhard, I have more hopes for currently. And so that part of it is a bit more acute. And the fact that the two of them can't seem to play together makes me sad. Whereas Jarace, the sadness has passed.
Kyle, Jarace Walker is surging from 3. He's up to 35.8%. That's about league average. That's good. What do you think Jarace Walker's 2-point percentage is right now?
I don't know, 37.
That is exactly right, 37.3.
God.
That's like shocking. And I know he just had a poor game that drug that down against Detroit, but I mean, he is I can't do math. 11.6% lower effective field goal percentage this year. Like, if your shots are harder, that's one thing, but like, that is shocking. That is a shockingly huge drop. And that is disappointing because there have been pockets of better defense or like, oh, cool rebound, but like not enough to justify these drops in efficiency, especially from me, who has had to bang on the table for years saying, guys, stop saying to put him in for defense. He's better on offense than defense his whole career. And then the offense hasn't clicked this year. The biggest thing you're keeping an eye on in the second half of the season, Kyle Taylor.
Tankathon.com.
All right. Okay. Second, I might make this my phony question to guests for a while. What's your date where you're demanding everybody is shut down by? Or like, is it the trade deadline? Is it the All-Star break? Is it March 1st?
For Pascal, it's probably the All-Star break. For everyone else, it's probably mid-March.
That's reasonable. I don't think Pascal will be shut down at the All-Star break, to be clear, but I understand why you would think that.
He can't sustain a 6 month injury. I'm like 6 months is my time frame. Like a 6 month injury is like the most reasonable bad injury that you can imagine. Watching tankathon.com, get that guy off the court. And relatedly, every now and then Tyrese Haliburton comes out on the court in shorts and shoots some threes. And when he does that, from the upper bowl zoomed in, you can see the muscle atrophy that has happened to his right calf. And I am going to keep watching the degree of atrophy because I never want to see that at all. I want it gone.
Look at you. Biomechanics expert.
Look at you see. It was Alex Golden, I think, had like pictures from like sideline, and I mean, it's like it's startling.
My biggest thing I'm keeping an eye on in the second half of the season is the centers. I know it's boring because that was the answer coming into the season, but any amount of clarity at all. Like right now, I have no idea. I just have no idea what to make of these guys. What if Huff looks awesome for like 3 weeks in a row? What if none of them look awesome for any amount of time? Who's the backup going to be next year? Who's going to be on the team in 3 weeks? I don't know. But that's such a huge question mark for them. It's a whole position that they have no idea about for next year. And they're trying to be good next year. Every other position, they have a pretty good idea about who's going to be playing and maybe roughly how much. That one, they have just I have no earthly idea. Maybe they have a better idea than me. Or alternatively, to use your F position group, does any fringe player, maybe sans Quentin Jackson, move up a tier? Do they move into the this is a hopeful? That would be a big deal for them because their youth pipeline is very quickly becoming, to be clear, they're still all young players, but it's very quickly becoming a proven pipeline, and they need some youth in the pipeline.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Our remaining thing would be that you told me you had something to say about the Indiana Hoosier football team, but I forgot to text you something. I said the last time I had a guest on that I would require every guest until the trade deadline to give me a trade to take about the Pacers. I don't know if you have one prepared. So if you don't have to do this because we've already gone way too long.
Ben Mathurin and Isaiah Jackson for Onyeka Okongwu.
Yeah, that's like a dreamy trade. That would be so. I mean, I don't think the Hawks would do that. But
they're trading for Anthony Davis, so they're positioned.
Well, if they trade for Anthony Davis, maybe they'd be willing to do that. But outside of that, I don't know what. Like Mathurin would have value to them certainly now in their new backcourt structure, but I don't know. If Porzingis played a lot, that would be more reasonable, I think. They'd have no center depth. Yes, that is it. It's not even a take. That's just a good salaried fake trade and not illegal.
That is what I endeavor to be not illegal when it comes to my trade proposals. Tony, today, when everyone is listening to this, the Indiana Hoosiers football team plays for a national championship. This is on the heels of the Purdue men's basketball team losing the title, Notre Dame football losing the title, the Indiana Pacers losing in one of the most heartbreaking fashions in modern sports. Tony, will there be another new form of heartbreak, like the refs stealing the game from the Hoosiers, or are they winning the national championship?
Dude, you also missed Daniel Jones exploding Achilles, making an 8-1 start or whatever, lead to no playoff berth. And Kelsey Mitchell suffering an injury I've never even heard of.
Very scary
game 5 that went to overtime with the eventual champs.
Yeah, very scary injury that she suffered. Yeah, I was only reviewing the recent struggles in title-winning games, not the state's struggles overall, which have been heartbreaking repeatedly for like a year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, basically the run since Purdue made the Final Four has been. I don't know what was first, Purdue or Notre Dame's run. I can't remember. I think Notre Dame's would have been first by 2 months, right? I don't know. I might have. Oh, you're right. Purdue was obviously first. Yes, lots of sad, tragic heartbreak. The Hoosiers have a chance to somehow change it. I can't believe I'm saying that about the Indiana football team. I was watching.
Give us 30 seconds of optimism in case we never hear it again.
I can't cuss, but they've kicked everybody's you-know-whats for the whole playoffs. I don't know how much better Miami is than Oregon, so I'm pretty optimistic, which is not a good thing. And I'll say this too. I'm not a football fan. Like I am rooting for IU football because I went to IU, but I went to 2 games as a student. And I got back from Pacers Pistons last night, and I got to my hotel room and I recorded a podcast, and I put IU Iowa basketball on. And I'm just like, half the time my head's in my hand. So I need a spiriting IU thing as a basketball guy who is very sad about the state of affairs of a disappointing basketball team. That's my thoughts on IU football.
I hope they do it. I hope they do it.
Yeah. I told you this before we recorded. I think it's amazing that they have threaded the needle of favorite and consensus. Everybody wants them to win. That's so hard to do in sports, but that reflects the story well. And they have a flippin' awesome quarterback. Kyle, where can people find you in the flippin' awesome things you do, talking about, sometimes writing about the Indiana Pacers?
One Kyle Taylor on X or Twitter and other social media platforms. Also, Derek Kramer and I are recording evil Pacers recap live shows, usually about once a week, and our next one will be coming up in a few days.
Which, Pacers Thunder or Pacers Celtics?
We actually haven't agreed yet. That was my coy way of being non-committal. So now everyone knows that I'm
trying to help you get people to the day, but if you don't have a day, that would be hard to guide people to a day. We'll be back tomorrow here talking Pacers Sixers, of course, the most important game in the state of Indiana that everybody will be dying to listen to. Deep analysis of after the college football national championship game. Thank you all so much for listening today. We'll see you very soon.